Coming up today on the Nice Guys on Business.
Let's say you're my age and you really don't want to work 40 hours a week anymore, but you have some amazing skill set that you actually love doing. So take on a couple of projects and you're working 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, whatever it is. But start off small. I still work out of my home. When I started my company, I didn't even have a printer. I had a laptop and internet connection, and that's about it. And I just went to work.
Well, I'm going to go then, and I don't need any of this. I don't need this stuff, and I don't need you. I don't need anything except this ashtray and this paddle game, the ashtray and the paddle game, and that's all I need. And this remote control. The ashtray, the paddle game, and the remote control, and that's all I need. And these matches. The ashtray, these matches, and the remote control and the paddle ball. I don't need one other thing, not one, except the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Nice Guy community, check this out. Authors, speakers, and podcasters, this is your chance to listen up today. Lorraine Vaughan Speaks amplifies the visibility of authors and speakers and podcasters while they do what they love to do, which is talk. And if you know me, Nice Guy community, you know I love to talk. Lorianne has helped spearhead multiple best-selling book campaigns, editing, proofing, through to launch and social media marketing to help authors and others create buzz and momentum throughout the social media platforms and increasing their message. Talking biz and her story, very interestingly enough, of being laid off at 60 and what comes after that. Welcome, Lorianne, back to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Oh, it is so my pleasure. Thank you so much.
So what the heck motivated you to say, Doug, I want to come back another time? Was it just my good witting personality, or is it something else?
Well, no, honestly, yes. I love this community, and you guys are just so generous in your time. I have totally embraced the podcasting world, and am really kind of focusing in on podcasters these days and helping them grow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've found that so many of them really want to hit more stages to then be able to drive traffic to their podcast and then be able to monetize. And it's quite funny because a lot of podcast guest shots that I go to, I don't know how much business actually comes from the audience, but almost all the podcasters say we need to talk. It's just great.
Well, it's interesting. There's so many different resources or sources to monetize your show, whether it's through advertising and sponsorship, which everybody thinks is the way to go. It's not really the way to go. It's such a small fraction of the money that you can actually make in podcasting, but it really is selling whatever that expertise that you bring to the podcasting world to either your community, to your guests, to each other in the networking of interviews. I mean, it's just amazing of the 700 plus interviews that I've done, how many people we've done joint venture partnerships. It really is all about the relationships. Maybe that's probably a good place to start. Tell me about the relationships you've been able to forge through podcasting.
It has just been amazing. And as I just said, you guys are just such a great group. And it sort of is the 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon around here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone seems to know everyone else. And it really, at this point, my business is probably 90% due to referrals.
Yep. As any good business grows, it should be that way. Hey, I want to get into a little bit about, because we have a short format show. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to spend a long time just bending your ear and talking to you about all the great things that I do, podcasters do, and how wonderful we are. But I really want to talk about this, taking the responsibility and the zone of genius that people have and giving it back to them and allowing them to do what they do best, which is whether it's speaking or podcasting or writing, and doing all of that other stuff, that social media marketing, launching a program, editing, proofing a book. Tell me about the importance of really staying within that zone of genius.
Oh, most definitely. 30 years ago, Stephen Covey came out and said, do what you do best and hire others to do the rest.
Yeah.
And 30 years later, we're still trying to get that message out to many of the solopreneurs. I myself take my own advice. I have my own graphics people and things like that. I can't do that. And if you know it's not one of your strengths, or as I call them, superpowers, you need to take that off your plate. Because while you can go do what you do best and the top, say, money earning, priorities that you have, why are you spending 40% of your time doing administrative or logistic kind of tasks when you should be out doing the selling or training or coaching or whatever it is that is your income stream?
Now I
Do
know.
what you do
I'm sorry.
best.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
roll
no
over you.
worries.
You gave me a pause to step in there, and I'm always stepping in. It's funny. I just had a conversation with Ian Lobos yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He has a really cool podcast, Real Estate Rockstars, that he does with
Right.
a big format guy named Pat Hyben. And he was talking about active listening, and the part of active listening is one of those things I completely challenge myself with all the time. And it's, hey, when your guest actually takes a pause, sometimes it's just for breath, not for you to add in a word or two. So I'm sorry, I get so excited about the guests that come on the show. I'm like, oh, I have so many things I want to find out from you. Maybe I need to make this a longer show so that I can finally have the room to have all the conversation I want to have.
You know what? And that's what makes it so beautiful. A really good podcast is all about the conversation.
Yeah.
It's all about actually even starting that relationship so that you understand where each other are coming from. And it's one of the things that I really love. I'm not up on a stage trying to sell something. I'm here to mentor. And that's actually what I've been so passionate about doing, is mentoring my clients to bring them to the next level.
So go back to that moment for just a second. When you were 60, you got laid off, and the world was kind of, and I know there's a number of people in our community, whether they get laid off on purpose by their boss, or whether they get laid off by design because they have put themselves in a position where the law of attraction says you're going to get exactly what you want. You're trying to build a side hustle. The universe is going to stand behind you and figure out how you are going to get out of that job. Sometimes it's not so smooth. Sometimes it's not so neat and clean. Talk about that moment that you got laid off and that realization that, oh shit, what am I going to do next?
Oh yeah. Now, I just so everyone knows, the author that I worked for, I knew it was coming, but there was going to be no difference between trying to find a job at 59 or at 60. So
right.
I stayed till the end, until she sold her company, and there was no need for me to stay. At first, gosh, I was scared to death. I was laid off on December 8th, 3 weeks before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I was at a place in my life where my kids were all married and had kids of their own. My house is actually paid off,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't have that huge fear. Although, it did start creeping up after I enjoyed the holidays, and then January was rolling around, and I had probably put out, I had probably put out about 100 resumes and not one call.
Wow.
And, but from day one, the minute my first client heard that I was laid off, she reached out to me. We had lunch that first week, and I was doing some side stuff for her immediately. And I realized, you know what? This is what I'm good at. When I started the company, I would say it wasn't necessarily my passion, but I knew it was my skill set and my superpowers that I had to offer. And in the ensuing 2 years, I have really embraced the mentoring aspect of my job. I've hired in 5 other women that do a lot of the different work now. And I love the business development and being able to, as I say, mentor and say, have you thought about this? Have you, let's try this. And to get their presence going, whether they're brand new to social media or even if they have 15,000 followers,
Right.
How do
So
we get it to 20?
what did it feel like in the beginning? I know there had to be some level of fear. How do you push through? Because I think there's a number in our community that may not have the. Now, I'm not saying that you had the financial wherewithal. I don't really know your financial backing, but some people just don't have the runway of 2 years
Right,
to be able to get into a position. So if you're mentoring someone that is looking to as people get into, I'm sorry, I should probably share a little tiny bit of a story. I have a number of people that come to me in the podcast world to produce their show, and I can tell quickly, very soon, very early on in the process that, hey, they're not just trying to launch a podcast, they're trying to launch a podcast and make money at it at the same
right.
time. And oftentimes that's not the easiest thing in the world. We all know that people are not
Yeah.
writing books to get wealthy from the royalty checks that Amazon is going to send them at $2.27 a shot. So how do you advise someone that doesn't have quite the liberty of a 2-year runway to kind of get rolling?
Well, in actuality, I didn't have great finances to begin with.
Okay, so you
I mean,
you did
I
it.
was,
So there you go.
yeah.
Thanks for being vulnerable.
I was an executive assistant. I mean, I did not make huge money then. I've always been frugal, and I was a single mom for 20 years. So at some points, I had 4 jobs. So I knew how to work on a really tight budget, and I still do actually. Um, I'm not a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination, but that's never really been my goal. Here's what I did, and in actuality, I have now a book, and I'm a best-selling author, and I have another one coming out talking about starting a business at 60,
Wow.
because in this gig economy, it's never too late.
Right.
Start off small. And let's say you're my age and you really don't want to work 40 hours a week anymore, but you have some amazing skill set that you actually love doing. So take on a couple of projects and you're working 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, whatever it is. But start off small. I still work out of my home. When I started my company, I didn't even have a printer. I had a laptop
Right.
and internet connection, and that's about it. And I just went to work.
I encourage everybody as you're listening to this again. I think that there was a little gem in there that you may not have heard if you didn't listen carefully to it. So I want to go back for just a quick second. And she said, I work from my home. I didn't even have a printer. So many people are so busy getting ready and thinking about this overwhelming climb to start a business, and it really can be as simple as you and your laptop. And that's kind of how we started our podcasting business. I had a book, but I had no promotion, and I had the idea of a podcast, but I had no equipment. And really, it's just a matter of, hey, listen, for $300, we got into the podcasting world, and that was 1,000 episodes ago, and
Yeah.
3 point something million downloads ago as well. I did not have financial backing. This has all been bootstrapped. And you don't have to jump in with I have to have my office, I have to have my computer, I have to
Right.
have all of this stuff. Stop freaking getting ready and start doing. And doesn't matter what you have to get started, just do it. Just get started, especially if you are in a position where you must get started. Don't
Right.
stop, don't wait, don't let perfect be the enemy of done. Go and go right now.
Exactly. And focus in on your superpower so that you know that you're good at what you're doing and can get some projects under your belt, and then ask for testimonials and referrals. And if we wait for everything to be perfect to start, we're never going to start.
I love it. I love that advice. It really is so authentic and so true. So take me to the next step. Once you realized that you had a client or two under your belt, when did you realize that, hey, I really am within my zone of genius? Or did you have to pivot a couple of times? And how do you feel about that pivot, if so?
Well, yes, I felt like I was in my zone of genius, but I do say that I had to pivot. I immediately did get together with Melanie Benson as my mentor, and we had a conversation as to what I do. And she goes, "Oh dear God, Lorianne, you need to start speaking yourself." And I'm like, no. I'm the behind the scenes person, and you've met me, Doug. I'm a big girl. So it's like, oh, no. I do not want to be on stage, which is, I think, another reason why I just love podcasting. and she put me in with Women's Speakers Association, where not only have I learned so much, but I'm surrounded by my ideal clients, and I like to help them, mentor them, as I say. And I have had to pivot a couple times, because when I envisioned the company, it was more of a administrative logistic kind of support.
Mm-hmm.
And now we probably spend 50% of our time doing outreach to find speaking stages and things along that line for our clients.
So tell me about the commitment to your clients related to you kind of shifting the level of service or the type of things that you offer. So you go into this with a certain skill set, and let's say that skill set is copywriting and publishing and all of that. And you have a client that says to you, "Yes, but do you know how to do this?" And if you're like me, the answer is always yeah. And then you like work like the dickens
No.
to figure it out so that you come across professional. And I'm not saying be disingenuous. I'm saying, yeah, if you approach something, almost anything, with a level of passion and curiosity, you can figure out how to do it. So how much of what you did was really expanding the services that you offer so that you were being responsive to your even your couple clients that you had?
Well, I'll tell you this. With each client, it's a different thing that they need. I was never really given the social media to do with my employer, because they thought I was too old. Well, I'm just the queen of it now. So it's like, yeah,
Right.
I learned all the ins and outs. I didn't even know what buffer was before,
Yeah.
things along that line. So technologically speaking, I've learned so much. Um, I am not a techie by any stretch of the imagination. I am still a great end user, but if something goes wrong, I have no freaking clue how to fix it.
Right.
So,
Okay. So, but
so
that
I
brings up
have
a really,
other people in my team that do
I was going to
that.
say that it's a really valid comment. There are going to be things that are going to come up through the course of your growth, especially when you're new and you are experimenting with all of these things. I would say, if you're an entrepreneur at heart, it really, and I'm not saying this that if you don't act this way or think this way, it's incorrect. But if you're an entrepreneur at heart, I really do believe that your willingness to give is almost more important than your willingness to have or your talent within a certain skill set. So, for example, Lorianne has somebody that comes to her and she does all of these things. She does A, B, and C, and her client comes to her and says, "I want D, E, and F." She has a choice. She can either farm that out to somebody else and give away that potential income, or she can figure out, is this something that might be a common element that may happen within many clients that come to me in the future? And if so, I'm going to bring somebody on staff, or I'm going to sub this out but keep it under my own umbrella. And I think entrepreneurs tend to take a risk when it comes to that kind of stuff, which really does help you grow your business ultimately. Now, is that the attitude that you had, or was it something different?
Exactly. Because as I learn new things, I'm then able to put that down as some of the services that we can then provide. But I'm very upfront at the beginning. Like when I took on my first, as we called them, woo-woo clients,
Yep.
I came from a space of corporate leadership.
The
So,
exact
there's
opposite
no
of
woo
woo.
woo.
Exactly.
Exactly. My sweet spot are the leadership speakers. And but I was really upfront and I said, okay, let me be very frank. I'm going to do all the research and I will, give it my best. I am starting from scratch here. I don't have, my contacts and whatnot in this space, but I will go ahead and do this research for you. But I'm not sure how many things are out there,
Right.
whereas, corporate leadership and HR kind of, conferences abound. So, so I was just really upfront. And of course, once I do that research, of course, I've got that for future clients. And we have a master list that's growing to amazing proportions.
Well, and
So
remember, Nice Guy Community, as if you haven't been listening long, just go back to any of the episodes on niceguysownbusiness.com and do a search for Lou Diamond.
I love Lou Diamond.
Lou's a great guy. Yeah, Lorianne, I know you know him. You met him at the last New Media Summit, I think, or maybe you were introduced to his show. But I'll tell you what's really cool about Lou. Lou was our first client when it came to podcast production. He's a couple of hundred episodes into his Thrive Loud podcast right now. And I remember when he approached me, again, just like you said, it's so on point and so honest and open. I think potential clients like this. Lou said, "Hey, can you help me do what you did for your podcast with my podcast?" And I'm like, "I would love to, but I don't even know how much to charge you, and I don't even know the system that I would put you in. Would you help me make this, something that's a win for you as well? Like, what would you pay for this, and what services would you want?" It's instead of me saying, "Oh yeah, I can do that. We've done that a million times
Sure.
before," and then getting into it, which ultimately will shoot it, will get you in the butt, because it is not good to be, you have to be genuine. You have to be very truthful to your clients and prospects, because
Exactly.
they will find out quickly that you're full of shit if you are full of shit.
Exactly. Like I say, yeah, I'm very upfront with what I provide. I am not a booking agent and I am not a speaker bureau, although I do have connections with all the speaker bureaus for a certain level of speaker. But that's not everyone. And honestly, it's a very small percentage that the speaker
Right.
bureaus would
Right.
even be interested in. And it's also a very passive environment. They're not going to go out and,
Right. They're not looking for
promote
sales
you
calls.
unless, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
maybe you're Barack Obama or someone. And then, of course, they will, because they're going to make 30% of his $250,000
Right.
fee.
So tell me a little bit about, so you work with all their speakers and podcasters, and I know you work with normal people too, but I know you do specifically
No,
your
I
market.
actually don't work
You
with
don't, normal people.
I don't work with normal people. I only work with creatives, which is really so funny, because I am the yin to their yang, or the yang
Well,
to
that's
their
great.
yin.
That's where they know that's where you really do step into a position of alignment with your contrast. Is great in your particular case. So if you're working with the creatives, authors, speakers, and podcasters, what generally is a symptom that they have before they come to you and you say, "I can help heal you"? So that somebody listening to this might be able to say, "Hey, Lorianne is exactly the person that I need, because she is in alignment with me here." What is that here?
Well, creatives always have such big ideas and big picture. Many have the shiny object syndrome, which is, "Ooh, and I want to do that. And ooh, I want to do that." And, and I'm sort of mom saying, "Excuse me, let's rein this in."
Right.
As Steve says, it's like, do this one thing and get it to 100,000, then we'll move on to the next. But you need to focus on one thing, or focus on one goal that we can accomplish. They say, "Well, I just want to be speaking twice a month." Okay, well, how are we going to do that? Do you have your speakers set? I deal with all the pieces that need to be put in place to get you where you want to go.
I love that idea. And if so, somebody has the symptom of what? If they don't know how to do what, or they find that what is their pain? Like, somebody's listening to this right now and saying, "Okay, that's cool. I know that she does that, but I'm not really in pain yet." What's a big pain that somebody comes to you and says, "I have this," and it screams to you, "You are my ideal client"?
My ideal client is someone that is actually already speaking on stages, and or established in some form or another, whether they've written a book and now they want to take that book out onto the stage, that they have a fairly good reputation, because then we can build on that. I actually have one client that's been in the business for like 30, 40 years, and yet had never been on social media. And she was realizing that, her resources were kind of, drying up.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's because, unfortunately, and I'm along the same age as she, business is being done in social media. You
Yeah.
need to get in there.
Yeah.
And so we've created a whole social presence for her. And now she's being seen by even more clients that would really want to hire her. So It just definitely varies from client to client, but um, many just have that they're spending so much time doing all the prep work or whatever. And I understand that when you're doing a presentation or whatever, this is your name that's going up. So your PowerPoint needs to be perfect. But are you the right person to be doing that PowerPoint? Or should someone who
Right.
actually, and this is something I have a 30-year-old doing, even though I can do all the basics, I'm not the guru of PowerPoint, but there is so much you can do with it, with animations and whatnot, to make it a really interactive presentation. And so many put like every word they're going to say onto the
Oh yeah.
slide.
Yeah.
Oh dear God,
Yeah. Don't do
I
that.
roll my eyes. I can't tell you. I still see it on every conference I go to. I see at least one or two speakers that do that, and it's I want to snap out of it.
I know. I cringe too when I see the
I want to
small
pull a
little
share.
the small charts and all of the other stuff and all of the text, everything that they're about to read is on that slide. Yeah, that's been
Right.
a big no-no. Lots of visuals, some video in there, throw some creative stuff. And again, that's not the stuff that, if you're a speaker, that's not your zone of genius. Get out of that. Let somebody like Lorianne find that perfect balance for what your zone of genius is to keeping you out there and speaking and then promoting your business as well. And if social media isn't your thing, certainly it's great to be able to dabble in it a little bit so that you understand what you have going. But ultimately, you do not want to do that. You want to bring in somebody like Lorianne to at least direct you, give your clients, or she will give you the template by which she will help you run your business so that you get more time speaking on stage. So
Exactly.
I love what you're all about. So tell me, how does somebody, if they're interested in connecting with you, how do they get in touch with you, and how do you what does getting started with you look like?
Well, there's number of different ways, but go to my website, which is www.lvs Consulting Services, just my initials.
Yep.
And you can see all the different things that we can provide. There is an online store there that will give you some package prices. And get in there now because they're going to go up in January.
Nice. I appreciate you saying that.
Seriously.
There is a call to action for sure.
There is a call to action here because things are gonna go up. But I am very open to having a conversation with anyone that just wants to figure out what they need to do. I have a consultation, package that's just a couple of hours, but we do it over a number of weeks. So let's say they can't afford my packages, which really are very reasonable.
If someone cannot afford these I'm looking at these packages right now, and Nice Guy Community, go over to lvsconsultingservices.com and click on the online store. I'm going to advise you need to triple these prices in January. If you're only raising them a little bit, this is crazy. The prices that you have on here for your 20 and 30 and 40 hour packages, and then your speaker bureau outreach and your full speaker package construction, this is extremely reasonable. Nice Guy Community, head over to lvsconsultingservices.com and then check out the online store, because I'll tell you, it is the way to go. You can just pay right there. There's a buy now button that you can take advantage of. And I'm telling you, this is babysitter prices. You need to raise your prices right now. Lorianne, my advice as your new coach is to tell you, come on, seriously. And I don't know if you've started working on an online program also to help people with doing some things that are partly automated, partly full service, where you're actually doing stuff for them. I'm sure there's a lot of rinse and repeat messages that you share with your new clients, and to do an online course at these prices and then triple your prices and do those this is how you get in touch with Lorianne. That would be my advice to you, not that you're asking for business advice.
No, but I totally appreciate it. And I'm actually working with Kim, because one of the things that you will find on my homepage is a white paper that just is the top 10 ways to grow your speaking business. And it's actually create massive growth in your speaking business, but you don't even have to give me your email. I do not have a ClickFunnels. it's kind of a karma thing for me because
That's okay. I find that is very zen and properly in alignment, especially with the level of clientele that you're working with, where they are a bit more woo. And if positive energy brings people to your website, the same thing can be said to the people downloading that top 10 ways to create massive growth in your speaking business, that they will come back to you. I know it's not the traditional old school way of capturing leads through getting them to enter emails, but those that want to reach out to you will after they read the top 10 ways to create massive growth.
That's my plan.
I agree. Lorianne, thank you so much again for being on the show. So very much appreciate your message and your style. Your personality is amazing, and I love having you. And your energy is contagious. So thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Lorraine Vaughan Speaks. She is available. Just head over to lvsconsultingservices.com and check out the online services there. I'm telling you, take advantage of this before January, because this is ridiculous. I'm seriously going to advise her as soon as we get off a record here to triple her prices, because this is not
January. It's going up.
It's going up in January. Do it now. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. They have listeners in other countries? I didn't think anyone was listening outside of their house. Except maybe their moms.